In 1956, the world's most advanced car disappeared. No crash, no theft, just 30,000 tons of seawater. The Chrysler Norseman was supposed to change the future. It had no pillars, a cantilevered roof, and tech decades ahead of its time. But it was trapped in the hull of the SS Andrea Doria. Most people think it's just a pile of rust now, but new evidence suggests the Norseman might be better preserved than anyone imagined. This is the story of the ghost in the machine. In 1956, Chrysler spent the modern equivalent of $40 million to build a car that should have been impossible. It was called the Norseman. It featured a roof that floated in mid-air with no pillars to support it. It had a hideaway glass sunroof and a 15-inch power-sliding rear window. It was the forward look taken to its ultimate final conclusion. But no one ever saw it drive. No one ever sat in its futuristic bucket seats, because as the Norseman was being shipped from the craftsmen of Italy to the showrooms of New York, it ran directly into a nightmare. Tonight, we are performing a forensic reconstruction of the Chrysler Norseman. We will examine the secret blueprints that allowed a roof to float without pillars. We will relive the final hours of the SS Andrea Doria, and we will look through the eyes of the divers who found the car at the bottom of the sea, only to watch it crumble into dust. This is the story of the $40 million masterpiece that the ocean decided to keep. To understand why the Norseman is the holy grail of car finds, you have to understand the mind of Virgil Exner. In the mid-1950s, Chrysler was losing the style war to General Motors. While GM had the chrome-laden designs of Harley Earl, Chrysler was seen as stodgy. Exner changed that. He introduced the forward look, cars that looked like they were in motion while standing still. But the Norseman was supposed to be his magnum opus. He wanted to solve the oldest problem in automotive design, the A-pillar. Every car since the dawn of the horseless carriage required vertical posts to hold up the roof. These posts created blind spots. They broke the visual flow of the glass. Exner wanted a car with 180-degree panoramic view, a wraparound windshield that had absolutely no metal supporting the front. Chrysler's engineers in Detroit said it couldn't be done. The roof would collapse under its own weight. The windshield would shatter the first time the car hit a pothole. So Exner did what he always did when Detroit said no. He went to Italy. He sent the blueprints to the Ghia coach-building house in Turin. For 15 months, Italian craftsmen hand-beaten aluminum panels over a custom-fabricated chassis. This wasn't an assembly line car. This was a one-of-one sculpture. The engineering of the Norseman was radical. To support the roof without A-pillars, Ghia used a cantilevered design. The entire weight of the roof was supported at the rear, anchored to the C-pillars behind the passengers. The roof was essentially a diving board. It utilized high-tensile strength steel hidden within the rear quarter panels to cantilever the roof forward over the cockpit. The glass was equally advanced. They used specially tempered, curved safety glass provided by PPG. The car featured a unique power-sliding roof panel that could retract, turning the coupe into a sunroof-equipped cruiser at the touch of a button. By July of 1956, the car was finished. It was painted in a shimmering, two-tone metallic green with a red leather interior. It cost Chrysler over $200,000 in 1956, a figure that, when adjusted for inflation and the sheer R&D of a one-off prototype, places its value today nearly $40 million. Ghia created the Norseman. They trucked it to the port of Genoa, and they loaded it into the belly of the most luxurious ocean liner in the world, the SS Andrea Doria. The SS Andrea Doria was known as the floating art gallery. It was the pride of the Italian line. It was equipped with the latest radar technology and divided into 11 watertight compartments. It was considered unsinkable. On July 25, 1956, the Andrea Doria was nearing the end of its voyage, heading toward New York. It was carrying 1,134 passengers and 572 crew members. And in its deep storage locker, specifically cargo hold number 2, sat the Chrysler Norseman. A thick, blinding fog had settled over the Atlantic near Nantucket. The radar operators on the Andrea Doria saw a blip. The radar operators on another ship, the MS Stockholm, saw a blip. But in a series of catastrophic miscalculations, both ships turned toward each other instead of away. At 11:10 p.m., the ice-strengthened bow of the MS Stockholm, designed to cut through the frozen waters of the Baltic, slammed into the starboard side of the Andrea Doria. The impact was precise. The Stockholm's bow acted like a massive spear, penetrating 30 feet into the Andrea Doria. It struck directly at cargo hold number 2. The Chrysler Norseman, sitting in its wooden crate, was likely crushed or displaced the very second the ships collided. As billions of gallons of seawater rushed into the hold, the air inside the tires and the voids of the car's frame would have fought against the pressure. The crate would have splintered. The floating roof would have been subjected to the weight of an ocean liner's cargo deck collapsing above it. We're about to go down to the wreck to see what is left of this $40 million ghost. But before we dive, if you believe that automotive history is a treasure worth preserving, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support allows us to continue these deep dives into the machines the world forgot. Now, back to the abyss.
The Andrea Doria didn't sink immediately. It listed heavily to the starboard side. Because of the angle, half of the lifeboats were useless. For 11 hours, a massive rescue operation took place. 51 people died, but over 1,600 were saved. On the morning of July 26th, the ship finally gave up. It rolled over and sank, settling on its side in 250 feet of water. The Norseman was now a permanent resident of the North Atlantic. For Chrysler, it was a devastating blow. They had no backup. There were no other Norsemen. The blueprints were in Detroit, but the soul of the project, the hand-built Ghia body, was gone. Virgil Exner was reportedly so heartbroken he suffered a heart attack shortly after. He never attempted to build the Norseman again. The wreck of the Andrea Doria is known as the Mount Everest of wreck diving. The currents are lethal, the water is pitch black, the ship is slowly collapsing in on itself like a crushed soda can. In the 1990s, legendary wreck diver David Bright made it his mission to find the Norseman. He knew exactly where it should be. Cargo hold 2. When Bright finally reached the area, he didn't find a shimmering green masterpiece. He found a heap of irony. The saltwater had not been kind to the Norseman. Aluminum, while resistant to some corrosion, reacts poorly to the galvanic environment of a shipwreck. The steel chassis had rusted away, causing the heavy engine and drivetrain to fall through the body. The cantilevered roof, the car's greatest engineering feat, had become its downfall. Without the pillars, the heavy roof had simply pancaked down onto the floorboards under the weight of the overhead debris. Bright described seeing a wheel, a shard of chrome, a piece of the red leather interior that had been preserved by the low oxygen, only to disintegrate the moment a diver's fin stirred the silt. Today, in 2026, the Norseman is likely gone. The Andrea Doria's hull has deteriorated to the point where cargo hold 2 has collapsed completely. The car is buried under tons of steel and silt. It has become part of the reef. But the Norseman's legacy lived on. The forward-look styling elements, the tail fins, the panoramic glass, found their way into the 1957 Chrysler 300C and the Imperial. The safety features, like the recessed dashboard and the seatbelts, became industry standards. We often think of finds as something we can touch, something we can restore and put in a museum. But the Norseman is a different kind of find. It is a find of the imagination. It represents the peak of American optimism, a time when we believed we could make roofs float, a time when we believed that Italian art in American power could create the perfect machine. The Norseman is worth $40 million, not because of its metal, but because of its mystery. It is the only car in history that is more famous for its absence than its presence.